Hi guys, it's Hannah and today I'm talking about the books that I used to love, but right now I don't think they're worth the 5 stars rating I gave them. Obviously I'm not gonna change my rating, that's how I felt back in the days, but today sometimes I feel like when somebody asks me, oh look, you love that book, and do you think I will like it? And I'm like, I don't even think that current me would like it anymore, so I don't really want to recommend it to you. But on the other hand, I did give it 5 stars, so there are just a few books that I just think that I want to mention. And also I looked at all the books I read since 2012, and I noticed that till about a year ago, a year and a half, all these books come, but then since like a year ago, year and a half, I'm pretty happy with the books I read and the rating I gave. So I think, you know, the more you read, the more you grow, and then you start to feel all the problems in these books that you used to really love and really enjoy, and now it's just, I don't know. So I have 6 books total, and let's go into that. Okay, so let's start with the obvious ones, I think, and that is both Throne of Glass and Court of Thorns and Roses. So when I originally read them, I really liked them, and I'm not saying I don't like them anymore, but okay, so I like this series more than this one. But anyway, back in the day, they felt so new and so fresh. But on the other hand, at that time, I haven't really read many of similar books, and since then I have, and I just feel like they're books that actually have diversity in them, and they still like good as a story, you know, so diversity doesn't really make them bad, and that's what's lacking in these 2 books for me. I mean, yeah, we had a diverse character here, but that character got killed off, so I just don't feel like that's really pushing diversity in the books, you know, promoting it. I read 3 books of this series and I stopped. I will not continue. That trilogy was enough for me, and I read so far 4 in this one, and I'm reading Empire of Storms as a buddy read in probably, yeah, in September. So I'm not really giving up on this series. I just think they may be not as like, yeah, it's something that I would definitely recommend. I know lots of people do love them, and I'm not on one of these sides where, oh my god, I'm obsessed with it and I defend it to blood, or I'm totally against it and I go against it to blood. It's just that I think they could have been better, and yeah, and I also don't think excuse that, yeah, when this book was published, diversity wasn't that big of a thing. That's not the right excuse here, because these books are pretty still recent in comparison to other books I read, and I know books that have been published at that time as well, and they have diversity in it, so it's definitely not an excuse. And as far as YA fantasy goes, I think it's pretty good, but it's not necessarily 5 stars for me anymore after I read so many other books that I think are way better. Another book that I also have a huge conflict with myself is Anna and the French Kiss. So I absolutely adored it once I read it, but that was quite a few years ago, and now I know the problems in this book, and it makes me cringe because I am so against all this. And even though, yes, it was all fluffy and it reminds me of drinking chocolate on a cold night, you know, covered in a blanket, it's like, it's amazing feelings when I look at this book. That's why I didn't give it away yet. But I know that this book is so not worth 5 stars. So yes, back in the days, the feelings it gave me, and I still associate with this book, these feelings are 5 stars. But the book itself, I think it's pretty toxic, and I would definitely not recommend it to pretty much anybody who is really young and can have their mind shaped, because back in the days when I read this, I actually did kind of accept what happens in this book as okay, you know, as long as they love each other. But the day that I'm older and hopefully wiser, I think that's like, it's no excuse. It's no excuse to cheat or, you know, hurt anybody. It's like, and it's like, this book, I'm like really conflicted. Another book that is also one of these that I read back in the day when I didn't really read that many YA fantasy books, and I thought, oh my god, it's so good, it's so refreshing. But then I read lots of YA fantasy, and by now I know that it was just, no, it's not refreshing. It's actually very typical YA fantasy, and that is The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I read the first and the second book and then I stopped. I will not read the rest of the series. I think it's 4 books total. I do still have fluffy feelings when I look at this book, but it's just not. I think I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars originally, and I don't really think it's worth that. I mean, yeah, back in the days I did enjoy it, but now, like, when I was reading, I think Shadowborn for the first time, that was a year after I read this one, and I was like, whoa, this is, like, this book is a lot like Shadowborn, and Shadowborn was published way before, and I was like, Shadowborn is so much better, so I'd rather love that one than this one. And in general, this book is basically no, a pull together of many YA books, and I know it's wrong to say that you have to be really original because like so much is written and of course stuff is gonna be repeated, but I feel like there's taken parts of every book and put together, and that just I don't know, whatever works in other books, you know, they took it, put in this one, and they made it like an epic book or something. And I know it was really big back in the days when it got published, but then the fame got down and down, and I know lots of people have been unhauling it and not really loving it anymore, and I will not unhaul it, but I don't think that's the same love I had for it back in the days that I have today. It's definitely not. Another book that I also read back in the day, as they say, but this actually back in the days, like what, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, so it's not really that long time ago. But anyway, so another book that I also really loved, and it was one of these, so back in the day I didn't read that many thrillers or crime books or any of that, and then I met this one. It's called Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, which is actually J.K. Rowling, and I really loved it, and I still like it. Not saying it's bad. I think J.K. Rowling writes a pretty good adult book as well, because I adore Casual Vacancy, for example, but I still have to read Silkworm and what is the third one? I don't remember anymore, but yeah, I still have to read the rest of the series. I will read, I'm still intrigued, but since then the sexism in this book has been called out so much, and I went back to the book and looked at it and was like, how did I not flag this back in the day? I mean, what? Like, in these 3 last years of reading, I read like lots of books, about 3, maybe 400 books, and yeah, I feel like my taste in books and ability to see things that are not really right has grown, and that's where this book comes in, because I now see how this is not necessarily the best thing ever, and if somebody asked me for crime detective sort of book, I would not go with this book. Yeah, totally. I would pick better books, because I know there are better books that don't really use sexism as part of the plot. And the last book that I also quite enjoyed was All the Bright Places by Jennifer Nguyen. I gave this one originally 4 out of 5 stars, and back in the day I already had a little problem that it used suicide in the wrong way, and like mental illness as well. But today, more I look back on this book, I'm like, how did I give this one 4 out of 5 stars? I mean, as I said in the beginning, I enjoyed this book, I won't change the rating, but I don't really think it's the same 4 stars that I give some other books that I really enjoy, because it's just like, I have huge problems with mental health representation and suicide in this book. The same as I have huge problems with 13 Reasons Why, for example. But that one I never rated good. I didn't really read full, and I think the show is like, okay, let's not get into that because we will talk forever. But yeah, this one is the same style. I just don't think it's really like, it got really big and really hyped, and I don't think that hype was supposed to be there because it's misrepresentation for sure. So these were the books that I used to really love in like long time ago, which is not really that long time ago, but since then I read lots of books that I think improved my ability to notice good and bad things, to judge better what is a good book and what is not so good book. But mainly, yeah, I started to see things that are problematic in books since then, and that's why these books are on this list, because I think they are problematic, and I think today I would not support them as much as I used to. So let me know if you have any of these type of books on your reading list. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next video. Bye!